Ayat Hosseini became a widow in July at the age of 40. A little more than a year after getting married, she and her husband, Sehil Gouheri, became infected with COVID-19 around the same time. Ayat received treatment at home, while her husband, who had a pre-existing health condition, was admitted to hospital and within 24 hours taken to the intensive care unit.
When he was leaving me to go to the hospital, he told me he would return. Even though I was sick myself, I went to the hospital and begged them to let me see him in the ICU. But I wasn't allowed because he was on a ventilator. Less than a week after he was admitted into hospital, I woke up with a feeling that I had lost something. I knew something bad had happened, but I didn't want to accept it.
Sehil is one of more than 32,000 Iranians who have lost their lives to COVID-19 since the pandemic began in February. And on Saturday, for the first time since then, the country's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, met in person with the people in charge of dealing with the virus. Khamenei urged authorities to prioritize public health above all else.
ما باید سعی کنیم بهترین مدیریت را اعمال کنیم.
When the Ministry of Health determines what these restrictions are, other organizations should observe and impose them without taking any other considerations into account. The main responsibility for imposing these regulations and supervising their implementation is with the National Security Council and the police force.
The government has resisted a total lockdown, fearing it would further devastate its economy, already weakened by unprecedented U.S. sanctions. Tehran has been under restrictions for more than 3 weeks now, but most people still go about their daily routines. Both President Hassan Rouhani and the health minister have urged the public to help in fighting this virus, saying that they can't do it on their own.
The government has set up kiosks like this one across the city where items like masks and hand sanitizers are sold at a lower price so that everyone can afford to follow the health ministry's guidelines. But what the government has failed to do is to provide any financial support to those who have lost their livelihoods because of the pandemic.
Health officials have warned that the worst is yet to come as the winter cold and flu season is fast approaching. But despite the bleak warnings and the devastating loss Ayat has suffered, she says she's hopeful about the future.
We don't know if we will see the new year or not, but what saves us is sympathy and solidarity with each other and love. It was my husband's characteristics. Let's be with each other, love each other, and build hope.
And hope is all there is now during this crisis. The entire country, much like the rest of the world, is waiting for some positive news in the fight against the coronavirus. Dorso Jabari, Al Jazeera, Tehran.